Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Friday, November 22nd. Less than a week till Thanksgiving. Absolutely wild. But Jaguars, they are on their bye week. They are 2-9. They are dead in the water. There's no transparency right now on what's going on with the coaching staff, front office. There was reports. Maybe they were going to move on if they got blown out by the Detroit Lions. And boy, did they. The most embarrassing loss in franchise history. Certainly one of them. So we're going to go ahead and do a full mock off season today. Mock off season, which includes coaching staff, not the entire coaching staff, but head coach and coordinators. And we're going to get into general management, front office. We're going to get into free agency, the draft. Look at what the projected 53-man roster in that situation would be. All that stuff today. So it's going to be a packed show. I'm fired up to get into it. Took quite a while to put this all together, so I hope y'all really enjoy it. And this is going to be my dream off season. Not in the sense that any of it's like out of the realm of possibility. Everything that's listed here could absolutely happen. It would take a lot more vision and cohesion and motivation than what we've seen from the Jaguars in recent years from a roster construction standpoint. But I think it's all within the realm of possibility. Will it all happen? No, probably not. But we're going to go ahead and dive into it. Again, this is my dream for the Jaguars offseason. And of course, my dream for this franchise is to win the whole damn thing. Win the Super Bowl, host the Lombardi, go down in history, right? That's the goal. We're going to get into this. Want to do a quick shout out for our channel members, Eileen, Jackson, Brian, and Debbie Lynn. Really appreciate y'all's support. You can become a channel member here, get access to some cool perks, including discounts at genjag.com. And today, want to let y'all know we are having a hat sale, 50% off all hats. Just got some inventory we need to get rid of here. You can get a hat like the one I'm wearing. We've got several other ones there on the site, genjag.com/shop. 50% off all hats with code Duval. That's DUUUVAL. 3 U's. All capitalized. Really appreciate y'all's support. So let's dive into this, man. I'm really excited about, hope. The offseason gives hope for all franchises. And the Jaguars should have changed this offseason. They have $55 million in cap space. They have a whole lot of draft capital. They currently hold the number 1 overall pick, so there's plenty to get excited about beyond the fact that you do have Trevor Lawrence. You have some real talent throughout the roster still. Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, Eric Armstead, if he kicks inside, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Foye Oluokun, Tyson Campbell. There's some guys to get excited about for a new coaching staff. So there's plenty to have hope for the future. Obviously not for the remainder of 2024, not while Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson are still employed by this football team. But talking about the coaching staff, front office, I think that the more I think about it, Baselli or someone like Baselli needs to become, and I don't know if there's anyone like Baselli. He has such a unique, because he's around this franchise more than anyone from a media standpoint, does games on the radio. He does a show about the team a couple times a week. Baselli's locked in. And I'm not saying he should be the GM, but something we can learn from the Lions here, right? They hired Chris Spielman in 2020, Lions legend, somebody who's locked into the franchise, locked into the modern game, locked into what it means to be a Lion. I think Baselli could be all of those things for the Jaguars as a special assistant to the owner, right? Special assistant to the owner. That's what Chris Spielman is. I think that's what Tony Baselli could be if he wants to be. And I would want him to be that because I think he would offer checks and balances. He would offer, daily or at least hold folks accountable on the daily, right? There's no one, we talked about this, there's no one holding anyone accountable right now at the top of the organization. Like the buck stops with Balky and Peterson, and that's not working. So you need someone else, but besides the coach and the GM that cares about this organization deeply, in my opinion, that's going to help Shad Khan make sure this thing doesn't ever get off the tracks, because that's what's happened over the last year. So Tony Baselli as special assistant to Shad Khan, and he helps with general manager hire, helps with coaching hire, all that stuff. Now, looking at the coaching staff, the dream is Ben Johnson, and that's everybody's dream right now. But the reason is that Ben Johnson is a great play designer, Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. He is someone who takes the input of all of his players and is able to utilize that and create something cohesive, right? And now look, does Ben Johnson have the benefit of having a lot of talented football players on his team? Yeah. Does he have the benefit of having a great offensive line? Yeah. So those are things we have to consider here. But I think Ben Johnson, if you give him the tools from a talent standpoint, is going to get the job done in a big way. And now the challenge for him is going to be first-time head coach. But look, most of the time when you find great success, it is with a first-time head coach. You rarely have retreads that have historic runs as a coach. So you got to take your swing, and Ben Johnson's going to be the hottest coaching candidate on the market, but that's who I would be swinging for. Absolutely. Defensive coordinator. Again, this is my dream. Mike Vrabel. I don't know that he gets hired to be a head coach next year. Maybe he does, and if he does, good for him. But if he doesn't, I would love to have him as a defensive coordinator. And he didn't call the plays for the last several years in Tennessee, but he was instrumental in game planning on the defensive side of the ball. He did call plays earlier in his career as defensive coordinator, and I think early on at times with the Titans. But look, Vrabel is going to bring a versatile multi-front defense. They're going to change looks up on you. They're going to have fire zone blitzes. They're going to have simulated pressures. Mike Vrabel, beyond the schematics, is just a darn good coach. He's going to hold guys accountable. He's going to get you into the right mental space to go attack. And I just think that would be a home run of a hire as a defensive coordinator. And so you're talking about Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel. I think that's a tremendous leader on offense and defense. Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel. And then general manager. We've talked about some general managers. Ray Barry is exciting for sure. Somebody who's, to me, been around a little bit more as a scout and general manager, not general manager yet, but scout and executive, is Chad Alexander, the assistant GM for the Chargers, who worked with the Jets for several years before that, worked with the Ravens for 2 decades. He's been on the scouting side. He's worked his way up, been around football his whole life. His dad was a coach in Miami, Hurricanes, in Dallas with the Cowboys. So Chad Alexander is someone who I really value, and he came up working with Ozzie Newsome, working with Eric DaCosta, Joel Ortiz, some of the best in the business. I thought that the Jets had a good run of personnel acquirement when it comes to the draft and free agency when he was there, outside of not being able to identify the quarterback properly. But guess what? That's not an issue here in Jacksonville. You have your quarterback, right? And who knows if Chad Alexander was a Zach Wilson guy, right? And then you get to the Chargers this year and you're working under Joel Ortiz and you're the assistant general manager, and they just hit it out of the park with their draft this year. So yeah, Chad Alexander is someone I really identify with. I think that when he was talked about culture with Daniel Jeremiah, he said, culture is about genuine transparency throughout the organization, and one goal: win a Super Bowl. I love that. That resonated with me. So that's the group. Chad Alexander as your GM, Tony Baselli as your special assistant to the owner, head coach Ben Johnson, defensive coordinator Mike Vrabel, and of course they got to fill out those staffs, and obviously you got to do special teams. I would keep Heath Farwell if I could. Would love to keep him around in Jacksonville as the special teams coordinator. $55 million in cap space, right? So you get your coaching staff and front office all figured out. $55 million in cap space to work with. And of course, free agency comes before the draft. So we're going to dive into free agency and the draft, look at the 53-man roster. First, got to remind y'all to check out Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em and a whole lot more. You can use code Duval Daily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first Cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit on their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. This season, Underdog is running a special promo or bonus almost every single day, like profit boosts. You can pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. There are tons of options to look at around the league this week. Obviously, no Jaguars opponents to pick them. Hopefully, you took Nick Chubb last night to score, maybe score 2 touchdowns, and he did. You want to pick a running back from around the league to score this weekend. Underdog has vulture protection to rescue your pick 'em. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Duval Daily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So again, we've got our front office, top of the front office. We've got our accountability man and Tony Baselli. We've got Ben Johnson. We've got Mike Vrabel. And I'm not saying this is the most realistic build, but this is what I'm trying to accomplish in my dream scenario. $55 million in cap space. I want the identity of this organization, of this football team, again, to be the genuine transparency and one goal that Chad Alexander has talked about, and accountability towards that one goal, and that's the Super Bowl. So $55 million in cap space. We've got some needs. And when I look at the Jaguars, they have the $55 million in cap space, but coming up over, kind of getting into 2026, 2027, that's when you start to have some real big numbers from Trevor Lawrence's contract. So you're not signing guys to be here for a super long time. You're signing guys to come in, help get the job done in 2025, because there's no reason we should not be competing for the division title, competing to win games in the playoffs, and trying to get to the Super Bowl in 2025. You're bringing in veterans that are really good football players that are going to help you win football games now, right? And they're not long-term solutions, which is why you also have to nail the draft, which is what we're going to try to do. So first order of business is making sure offensive tackle is locked down. And I talked about Walker Little being maybe the second best option for the Jaguars. We're not trying to go for second best here in this rebuild. We are going for first best. And the first best option is Garrett Bowles. We're going to try to steal him away from Denver somehow, offer him the bag. Again, my dream offseason. $26 million a year. If you have to up it 27, 28, whatever. I don't care, right? 3 years over, again, $26 million to $28 million a year. That's an $11 to $12 to $13 million cap hit. We'll say, again, 26 a year over 3 years, $11 million cap hit, because he is 32. He's not the youngest guy, but he's playing at an extremely high level at left tackle for the Denver Broncos. That puts you down to $44 million in cap space. Now, looking at wide receiver, I know a lot of people are going to want to talk about that. I'm actually keeping Christian Kirk for one more year. I am. You have Brian Thomas Jr. developing on the outside. You have Christian Kirk in the slot. Gabe Davis, unfortunately, probably still going to be in Jacksonville next year with his contract situation. I don't think you're going to be able to trade him. Again, I'm trying to keep it within the realm of possibility. I don't see a team trading for that contract. You still got Parker Washington, so not doing anything crazy at wide receiver here. And there's a reason for that. We have the number 1 overall pick, right? Spoiler. Taking a wide receiver at 1 overall. What else do we need to address? Cornerback and safety for sure, right? I'm signing cornerback DJ Reed from the New York Jets, who I believe is 27, maybe 28 years old. He's not big. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a dog. And playing him opposite Tyson Campbell, I think could be really good. I think it could be similar to what Darius Williams was able to do for you coming in here and playing opposite Tyson Campbell. DJ Reed, 3 years, $15 million a year, $7 million cap hit. And where I'm getting these cap hits from, the Jaguars, when they sign free agents, generally speaking, in the first year, thanks to signing bonuses that can get prorated over the length of the contract, you're looking at about a 40% of the average annual value for your year one cap hit, right? So $7 million cap hit for DJ Reed. We are at $37 million in cap space. We have locked down our starting corner opposite Tyson Campbell. We've locked down the left side of the offensive line. I think we need 2 safeties. Andre Sisco's a free agent. There's no one else in the building that should be starting right now. So I think we need to go get 2 safeties. And there's a lot of good safeties available this year at this moment, right? Of course, free agency, you never know who's going to make it to free agency. But let's go ahead and say that out of the top 2 safeties on the market, there's Javon Holland and Budda Baker, and they're both studs. Javon Holland's younger, but Budda Baker is one of the best safeties we've had in the game in a while. Let's say Javon Holland, you're able to get the young guy. $22 million a year, sets the market at safety. 4 years, $22 million a year. And the cool thing about safety is setting the market is not as expensive as it is at setting the market at other positions, right? It's devalued from a monetary standpoint, which is why I think it's okay to spend some money here. $22 million per year, 4 years, $10 million cap hit in year one. We're down to $27 million in cap space. And he's the one guy that you're looking at probably having to pay into 2027 that we're signing here. No one else is getting signed for a real long-term deal, right? A 3-year contract is going to have a 2-year out. So that's what we're looking at with the rest of these guys. And then Justin Reed is actually a 2-year contract. So he's going to be your downhill thumper kind of safety. Javon Holland is going to be your move chess piece that can do it all back there. Justin Reed, 2 years, $12 million a year, $5 million cap hit. We're at $22 million in cap space. Sorry to Darnell Savage, but you are a backup. And that's another contract the Jaguars probably won't be able to move on from, honestly. So that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles there, unfortunately. It is what it is, right? You know, it was a weird signing at the time, and he's a decent player, but not what you're looking for from a Super Bowl caliber roster, in my opinion. We're also signing a backup edge. I don't know why Trent Baalke just has said, nope, not happening this last couple years. After he had DeJuan Smoot and Arden Key playing great as role players for them, he's just like, nah, we're good, right? So signing a backup edge for the love of God. Josh Uche, 2 years, $5 million a year, $2 million cap hit, $20 million in cap space. The reason we're getting Uche is because we've got big guys on the edge, really big dudes. Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Miles Cole right now. Going to be looking at a draftable player that we're going to bring in that's another big boy. So Josh Uche is kind of that change up from those guys, designated pass rusher type. So I've always wanted the Jaguars. I've been wanting them to trade for him for like 3 years. The Chiefs did it this year. He is on the final year of his deal. So go get Josh Uche, please. Now, backup quarterback, obviously Mac Jones on an expiring deal. CJ Beathard we're bringing back, and we're also bringing in a late round pick and probably an undrafted free agent to compete behind Trevor Lawrence for that backup job. Bringing in some competition. Bringing in Luke Farrell on a cheap deal. I think that as a tight end 3, he's just got some nice balance and versatility to his game. Daniel Thomas, would like to see him back on a cheap deal as well. Safety room kind of crowded with Holland, Reed, Wingard, Thomas, Antonio Johnson, probably fighting for his roster spot, right? So we'll see how that plays out. But I do like Daniel Thomas back from a special team standpoint. Antonio Johnson's a really good special teamer though too. So maybe you have both of those guys competing for a roster spot, essentially. And that leads us to the draft. right? We have short up cornerback. We have really upgraded at safety, getting two high caliber players. We've gotten a one of the best left tackles in the game. Certainly a top 5, top 10 left tackle in football. So we've done some good work. We did not address guard, which is something we're going to have to do early on in the draft. And we also don't really have a swing tackle. We don't really have a tackle of the future. We don't really have, you have Javon Foster, right? But I don't think anybody's feeling super confident about him right now. So let's get into this draft, right? Wide receiver, Travis Hunter at 1 overall. Yes, wide receiver, Travis Hunter. If I'm bringing Travis Hunter to my football team, I want him helping out my quarterback. I do. Bottom line, I absolutely do. I think Travis Hunter, yes, he's a really instinctive corner. He is. But there's going to be times where, and again, you have Tyson Campbell, so Travis Hunter doesn't necessarily have to line up against the A.J. Browns of the world, those types of guys. But if he did have to, do I feel confident in that matchup? Not really. Not really. I think that the big-bodied, physical, fast, elite wide receivers would really give Travis Hunter some problems. Whereas I think Travis Hunter, the receiver, will give every cornerback problems, right? Especially paired up with Brian Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. That is a top 4 receivers that you can get absolutely juiced up about for your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Because Travis Hunter is insanely flexible, great body control. He can create separation in one movement, and he's created 5 yards of separation. He's got insane hands. His ability to catch the ball and immediately transition into making defenders miss and getting upfield, very special. His route running is developed a lot. His release off the line of scrimmage. And, when you talk about can he beat press, good NFL offensive coordinators like Ben Johnson, they know how to get their guys free releases, right? And so I don't think he'd be dealing with that much press early on in his career. And even if he did, he has shown development against that. Needs to continue to get a little bit stronger. He's about 185 pounds. Could you get him up to 190, 195 in the first few years of his career to really add some, strength and density to his frame? I think that would be fantastic. But ball skills, explosiveness, athleticism, speed, it's all there for Travis Hunter. And I think he's just such a special, unique talent. I want him helping Trevor Lawrence out. Bottom line. At number 33, Jaguars first pick in the second round, defensive lineman Derek Harmon out of Oregon by way of Michigan State. Derek Harmon, I love his game. I have an early second round grade on him. He is higher than 33 on my board. He's in the top 30. The thing here about Derek Harmon, I wish a Walter Nolan or Tyleik Williams or obviously Mason Graham was available here. But Derek Harmon is a fantastic consolation prize because he's 6'5", 310. He is incredibly explosive. He knows how to defend the run at a high level. But what I'm most juiced up about is his ability to explode off the ball, use leverage, get into the body of offensive linemen, guards, and use those hand moves, flexibility, athleticism to wreak havoc in the backfield, both as a run defender and a pass rusher. I think that this is the type of guy that comes in, and now long-term you could be looking at, if Mason Smith develops, you could be looking at Derek Harmon and Mason Smith being a couple of beasts on the interior. And in the short term, I think Derek Harmon immediately pushes for pass rush reps and run defense reps on the interior. And you have a really nice rotation. Again, Eric Armstead, I don't think anybody's giving you any trade value that you really think is going to help your football team all that much. I think the best path forward with Eric Armstead is to keep him for 2025 and kick him inside and let him actually play inside 3 technique next to Devon Hamilton. And then you've got a rotation of young guys with a lot of athleticism and juice. And you've seen Jordan Jefferson develop a little bit over the last few weeks. So I think that's pretty cool. That's exciting. Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Then at 65, Marcus Mbo, the Purdue offensive tackle, who's also played guard, plays on the right side at right tackle right now. This guy, I didn't watch him till yesterday. Wow. And there's some rough moments because I think that he is so aggressive that he's trying to do a little bit too much at times. And that's fine. Like, I think we've talked about this. You would rather have a really aggressive football player that you have to rein it in a little bit versus someone who just doesn't have that in their game. And Marcus Mbo, he's 6'5", 305 pounds. He is the best athlete I have seen at tackle in this draft class. And I've watched a lot of tackles. He is springy. He is fast. He has great lateral agility. And you've seen him really grow, and he's developing the hands. Like, he can use independent hands. He can stab you. He has a snatch trap that's devastating. He can move guys off the line. He can get downfield and get that target lock on to linebackers, safeties, corners. Again, he's very aggressive. To me, full transparency, like, he's top 20, top 25 for me at this point. And he needs to develop. He absolutely does. Consistency. But if you have a good offensive line coach, which of course, you need to have one, a good offensive line coach should be all over this guy, salivating to work with them, because he is just an unbelievable athlete with great potential who is showing the signs of having the potential to dominate at the NFL level. And if he's there at 65, we're sprinting to the podium. Now, we have a trade up here. We have not dressed cornerback of the future. DJ Reed, he's not about to have to retire or anything like that, but I still think getting somebody young who can start across from Tyson Campbell long-term makes a lot of sense. And a lot of guys I really liked already came off the board, but there is one player who I'm still a huge fan of still on the board here, and that's why we're trading up. And that's Zy Alexander out of LSU. Trade up to 70. You're giving up 92 and 102 to get to 70. And Zy Alexander, he's been about perfect this year at LSU. They play a lot of off-zone coverage, off-man as well. Watched him against Trey Harris, a receiver a lot of folks think is easily going to be a second rounder at worst, maybe even sneak into the first round. Didn't give him a problem all day. And he's 6'2". He's 200 pounds. He has got great instincts as a zone defender. He is so willing and able and reads the game so well against the run. He's a great tackler. He's physical. I think at his size, being 6'2", you question the hips and the feet. Is he quick? He is quick. And he can reroute and change directions. The one question I have about him and why I think he could last till 70 is the long speed. Is he a 4.4 guy? Is he a 4.5 guy? I think he looks like he's going to be in the high 4.4s or low 4.5s, which is why he could last this long. And it's a super deep cornerback class as well. That has to be kept in mind. So Zy Alexander, you get a little bit of a discount on him because of, the lack of elite long speed. But you're developing him outside, opposite Tyson Campbell. Campbell has all the speed in the world. So the long-term plan, you're running more zone than man. Almost every coaching staff runs a lot more zone coverage than man coverage in the NFL outside of, the one the Jaguars currently have. So Zy Alexander, I think, is a perfect fit for that. Length, physicality, smart, good against the run. He has the hip fluidity and quickness to stick with most receivers. I think the receivers that could give him issues are just those, like a Malik Neighbors, the smaller guys or the guys that just have elite speed. But I'm a big fan of Zy Alexander. And then at 128, another player, my goodness, he should not be on the board. And I'm going to say that about every guy here. Maybe except for pick 216, which we'll talk about. Offensive lineman Armand Membu out of Missouri. He's also playing right tackle. I think he can play tackle or guard at the next level. He's got great movement speed as well, lateral agility, physicality. He's 6'4", 6'5", about 315 pounds. He moves so well. I just love watching him play. Really encourage y'all to go check him out. Um, a guy that I think can play guard, can play tackle, so you got some versatility there. And I think he has the potential to be a starter in the NFL as well. At 139, defensive end Jared Ivey, Ole Miss. He's a lot of fun, and he doesn't get as much attention as Walter Nolan or Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss. But Jared Ivey as a big, 6'5", 6'6", 285-pound edge rusher, can set the edge. He has surprising athleticism and quickness, nimbleness at his size. He's really good at running games, looping up front, kind of kicking inside and rushing from an interior spot as well. I just think that he would be a really good complement to what you have and somebody who shouldn't be on the board at 139. At 177, we're taking center Logan Jones out of Iowa. We've talked about him before. Another player I don't think should be available, but Mitch Morse not going to be around forever. I don't think Luke Fortner really should be handed a job as, your long-term center. So Logan Jones comes in. He is maybe the best athlete at center we've ever seen. He's a little undersized, but he has really grown technically. He brings it. A lot of Iowa offensive linemen absolutely do bring it, and he's no exception to that. And so I think that Logan Jones would be a lot of fun to come in and develop. And then 193, running back Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers. Look, whether it's Monangai or one of the other, this is a really deep running back class, talented throughout and deep. And so somebody's going to fall to the 6th, 7th round that you can feel really excited about coming in here and making this football team. And Kyle Monangai does not have elite long speed, but he is physical. And he is, when he gets to the second level, he almost always makes that guy miss. The thing about him is he's probably not going to take it to the house, but could he be a running back in the NFL who is among the leaders percentage-wise in getting explosive runs, 10-plus yard runs? Yes, because he's quick through the hole, he's patient, he has vision, he makes the first guy miss, and then he piles forward. So I think Kyle Monangai could be a really nice complement to what you have as an interior runner. He's really good in pass protection, solid hands, so I think that would be a great complement to what you have. And then at 216, I mentioned quarterback. I'm not quitting on Riley Leonard. I'm not. I still think he has physical tools. Obviously, he does as an athlete and a runner, but I think that he's been underdeveloped over the last few years at Duke and Notre Dame as a quarterback. Bring him in, see what you can get done with him. Like, if he's got skills, he's got talent, arm talent, rushing ability. Again, this is the last pick of the draft for you, so not a big deal taking a swing on somebody who has a lot of physical ability, right? And then we'll probably also bring in an undrafted free agent at quarterback to compete. So the 53-man roster is looking like this. Quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. You've got 2 quarterbacks. It's either CJ Beathard, Riley Leonard, undrafted free agent. Running back, you've got 3. Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, Kyle Monangai. I don't think there's any reason to try to ship off Travis Etienne next year. I think if you bring in a coach like Ben Johnson, he's going to probably be able to get the most out of these skill sets. And I'm not saying that Kyle Monangai wouldn't have the ability to potentially start, because he has the 3-down ability. He has the pass pro ability. He's a good runner. But you got Tank and Travis trying to fend him off. I like that competition. Tight end, 3 guys: Evan Ingram, Brenton Strange, Luke Farrell. I like that group a lot. Wide receiver, we've got 6: Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington Jr., or Parker Washington, I don't know why I said Jr. And then I'm fine with keeping Devin Duvernay, because I think he's been injured this year, right? But he can be a professional receiver for you, whether he has to line inside, outside. I think that Ben Johnson would actually be able to get the most out of him. And again, he is a good special teams player. Offensive line, we've got Garrett Bowles at left tackle, left guard Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse at center, Marcus Mbo coming in there and starting at guard. Anton Harrison at right tackle, Armand Membu being a swing guy at both tackle and guard, Logan Jones, our draft pick, as a backup center, and a few guys competing for like 3 more spots, keeping 10 offensive linemen because you've got to have depth there. Javon Foster, Luke Fortner, Stephen Jones, a couple undrafted free agent / veteran minimum guys competing for those last few spots. So we've got 24 on offense. Defense, we have 5 defensive tackles: Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson, and Derek Harmon, right? Those are our guys up front. At edge, we've got Josh Hines-Allen. We've got Trayvon Walker. We've got Ivy out of Ole Miss, the draft pick. We've got Josh Uche, who we signed, and we've got Miles Cole. That's our 10 defensive front guys. At linebacker, we've got Foye Lukin, Devin Lloyd, Ventrell Miller, Chad Muma, Caleb Johnson. All right? At cornerback, Tyson Campbell, DJ Reed, Zy Alexander, Jarian Jones at nickel, Ronald Darby, Buster Brown. And Buster Brown, Ronald Darby, they're competing for roster spots, right? And then at safety, we've got 5, Javon Holland, Justin Reed, Andrew Wingard, Daniel Thomas. And again, competing for the roster would be like Thomas and Johnson. Maybe you view Antonio Johnson. He did a really good job during his rookie year as a big nickel, as like a run defense nickel. So maybe you can shift him back into that type of role and get more use out of him. Provide some versatility. And then special teams, Cam Little, Logan Cook, Ross Matisic. That will do it, folks. That is my dream offseason. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm going to go give my vocal cords a rest here. Quite a long recording. Really appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Don't forget, we are having a sale over on the website today. 50% off all hats with code Duval. That's 3 U's, DUUVAL. Y'all have a good one.